Good morning, class. Now let's start the revision of the first chapter of your Indian Eco. Yesterday we discussed the reason of the stagnation in the agriculture sector, industrial sector, and foreign trade. Now today we will discuss the demographic condition at the eve of the independence. First of all, high birth rate and death rate. That means both the birth rate and the death rate were very high, nearly 48 and 40 per thousand respectively. And high birth rate and the high death rates, it suggests a state of a massive poverty in the country. Second one is the extremely low literacy rate. Low literacy rate, obviously it was nearly 16%, and among the female it was only 7%. That means it reflects the social backwardness as a reflection of the economic backwardness. That means it also shows you the gender biasness in the Indian society also. Third one is the high infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate, that means the death rate of the children below the age of the 1 year per thousand lived births. So this rate was also very high, and it was about 218 per thousand. And at present, if you will notice the infant mortality rate, it is 32 per thousand. So it also shows the poor state of the healthcare system in India, and it shows the extremely poverty also in India on that time. Now the next one is the low life expectancy. Low life expectancy, as we know that the health system was not strong in India, and the Britishers was also not sincere about the health status. So because of that, on that time the life expectancy rate was 32 years. Life expectancy rate is the rate at the average life the person is expected to live. So on that time it was only 32 years, but at present it is above 65 years. Poor health facilities, that means no sanitation was there, good quality of the food was not there, hospitals, nothing, these type of the facilities was not available in India. And due to the poverty also, we can say the poor health facilities was there in India. And because of this only 1921 year, that year was also known as the year of a great divide, because Indian population was affected by the epidemic on that time, or the famines also. Next one is the widespread poverty. We know handicraft industries was finished, agriculture sector, though the population was engaged in the agriculture sector, but still very less contribution was given by the agriculture in the GDP. So because of these reasons, widespread poverty was there in India. Now the next topic is the occupational structure of India at the time of the independence. First of all, predominance of the primary occupation. We know that maximum population in our country was totally dependent on the primary occupation. Almost 80% population was involved in the agriculture, and the percentage of the population dependent on agriculture is much less in advanced countries of the world, which shows the backwardness of the Indian economy at the time of the independence. Second one is the regional variation. That means we can see the unbalanced growth of the Indian economy also. That means in some areas, just like Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and in Maharashtra also, in few states population was engaged in the secondary sector, and in the few were engaged in the tertiary also. Whereas Odisha, Rajasthan, these states were involved in the primary sector. So in this way we can see the regional variations also. So that means growth, we can say it is said to be balanced when all the sectors of the economy are equally developed. But in the case of India, secondary and tertiary sectors were in their infant stage of a growth on that time. Now next come to the infrastructure on the eve of the independence. Okay, on the eve of the independence, the first infrastructure which was improvised by the Britishers was the roads. Roads were developed on that time to facilitate transportation of raw material from different parts of the country to the ports, because they try to feed their industries, and for supplying the products at the port, they need the roads also. Second one is the railways. Railways was the biggest thing which was established by the Britishers, and contribution by the Britishers to the Indian economy. It was developed to transport finished goods from Britain to the interior parts of the colonial India. And what was the reason? Just to acquire the more market in the India. and it aimed at widening the size of the market for the British products in India. Third one is your air and water transport. These transport was not that much flourished as compared to the roads and the railways, but yeah, water transport was there, because with the help of the water transport only the goods were exported and imported. After that, communication. For the communication, post and telegraphs were developed to enhance the administrative efficiency. But in short, I can say what was the positive impact of the railways in India. Positive impact of the railways was it facilitated the expansion of the domestic market, and it facilitated the commercialization of the agriculture, as goods could be moved to the distant places so easily. It flourished the business. That means people started viewing the farming as a business, and railway enabled the people to break the barriers of the distance, and they started taking the journey to far off places also. And another benefit of the railways was faster movement of the food grain across the different parts of the country. That helped control the spread of the famines on that time. But what was the negative impact of the railways? Railways contributed to the colonial exploitation of the Indian economy, because what was the main motive of the railways on that time? Primary goods could then be easily transported from the fields and the farms to the ports, and it fulfilled the purpose of the British economy. And second impact, like finished goods coming as imports to the Indian economy, which could be easily transported to the interior part of the country. And the third one, the spread of the railways led to the spread of the domestic market for the British product. And biggest benefit of the railways was only to the Britishers only, because it was easy for them to control the areas wherever there was the revolt. Now the next one, positive contribution of the British rule. First one, self-sufficiency in the food grain production. That means they forced the commercialization under the British rule. So it also led to the gradual change in the outlook of the farmers also. The farmers started considering market price of the produce as an important determinant for their product decisions, and it increases the employment opportunities also. Second one, better means of a transport. Better means of transport, that means with the help of the railways and roadways, it is easy for the Indians also to travel to the far off places. Second thing, people started looking their business also, because it was easy for them to fulfill their business activities also. Third one, control of famines. Control of famine, that means rapid means of the transport facilitated rapid movement of the food grain to the famine affected areas, and famines was controlled also. Fourth one, shift to the monetary exchange. Yeah, we know there was a transition from a barter system of exchange to the monetary system of exchange. So growth of the monetary system of exchange facilitated division of labor, specialization, and large scale production also. Fifth one, effective administrative setup. This is the biggest benefit of the British rule to the India, because we know that the British government in India left a legacy of the efficient system of administration. This served as a ready reference for our politicians and the planners, because before the Britishers, no political party was there. We were not having any administrative setup. So when Britishers left on that time, they left their ready-made British administrative setup. So this is how your first chapter finished. If any doubt you have, you please ask me the questions, and on Saturday I will take the test of this chapter.